Got a great presentation, conversation, and thank you as you all are coming in here. Thank you so much for joining this, a worthwhile webinar. As you know, all the proceeds go to charity, and we're going to be talking about that charity and what we've been able to accomplish so far with all the registrants, and we're going to get into those details. So let's give everyone another 60 seconds to get in here, and we'll get this thing kicked off.
Alex, not sure if you noticed, I'm from Fort Worth, Dallas. We don't call it Dallas Fort Worth, call it Fort Worth, Dallas, when we like Fort Worth better than Dallas.
So you got to say Fort Worth first.
That's right.
Got it.
Yep.
Yes.
New rule.
Fort Worth, Dallas. So we don't love Dallas, but we love Fort Worth.
Right.
I'm making notes. I'm learning here, Scott. This is good. This is good. Anybody else from the Fort Worth area agree with Scott? Is that how we operate? There we go. No, nobody yet answering if they're from the. I see some more people joining in. Let us know where you're listening in from. We were just discussing with Scott how we call it Fort Worth and then Dallas, not Dallas Fort Worth. For all of you that don't know that, now you know. Very important. In case you visit there, don't make a mistake. Your barbecue may come out tasting differently if you make that mistake. Am I right, Scott?
That's right. Yep. Be careful.
This is great. All right. Why don't we get going here slowly? We'll as people are continuing to join. As you join, let us know where you're listening from. You guys have joined a worthwhile webinar, so thank you so much for your contribution. And charity starts at home. Let's get going and make some introductions. So, I am Alex Kosician, co-founder, CEO here at Sales Boomerang. With me is two people that probably need no introduction, but we will introduce them because we love them. First, Dale Vermillion, CEO of Mortgage Champions. Dale, thank you so much for being here.
Oh gosh, thanks so much for having me, Alex, and thanks for just the kindness of supporting this and being part of what we're doing. We love you guys, and huge no borrower left behind Sales Boomerang fans and Mortgage Coach fans, so thank you.
Yes. And then we have Scott Payne, CEO of SDP Solutions. Really the reason Velocify continues to work, thanks to Scott. Scott, thanks for being here, man.
You're welcome. And it's really my team now. It's not me, but yeah, thanks for the kind words. Appreciate it.
Yes, he keeps it all going.
That's right.
All right. So look, we are here for charity. We're also here for education. So you guys are going to get something very special today for those of you that are joining. This is going to be an in-depth conversation about ways you can improve your business, your production, prioritization, all of those things. But let's start with the charity portion of this and get into some of the details. Dale, can you tell us a little bit about MPPH and what you've been doing?
I can. Thanks so much for the opportunity, Alex. We started Mortgage Professionals Providing Hope back in 2006. And the reason it started is in 2002, I had a great opportunity to travel to central India. My wife Laurel and I, at the time, were sponsoring a little girl named Tiru Patama, who was a 4-year-old girl when we started to sponsor her. When I went in 2002 to meet her, she was 6 years old at the time. She lived in an orphanage in a very, very destitute part of India. And honestly, Alex, it was a life-changing experience for me, like I can't even tell you. We got there. I got to meet 4,000 orphans that I got to spend 12 days with, working with, spending time with, loving on, having fun with, and I realized that moment, and so did my family, that this was a calling that we had to start helping people in a different way. And in 2006, we started Mortgage Professionals Providing Hope because for years I'd been traveling across the country speaking about the experiences that I had in India. And people were drawn by that and said, we'd like to help, we'd like to give. So we decided to start this not-for-profit organization in 2006. 100% of the funds that we have taken in since 2006, we give back to the organizations we serve. And we work with, not only do we build an orphanage for 550 girls in India, but we've had a chance to fund a school in Guatemala for kids who literally live in garbage dumps. We've been able to support kids in Africa that are in orphanages. And then about 10 years ago, we interviewed our clients and said, look, what is really the thing that motivates you? And we heard time and again, we love the work you're doing, but we'd like to see some work done in the U.S. We started supporting homeless families and started working with people here in the U.S. that are struggling. Some of them, a lot of them, single moms. That's what my wife does for a living, is she works with single moms, and she helps both homeless and people who have gone through trafficking and have gone through that disaster and are now looking for homes. And in the last 2 years, we've been able to house about 300 families in the U.S. here
Wow.
for MPPH, thanks to the effort of the partners. And I actually want to turn this over because Scott Payne has been an incredible partner and friend in this, personally to me, but as a company. Scott got involved, and we've seen just incredible things come out of his organization. We're really just here to help provide housing and education for kids and for families who need it, both here in the U.S. and abroad, that are hurting. So Scott, maybe you can share a little bit about your experience with MPPH.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously, fantastic foundation of what you guys do, and the number of lives you impact. I think where it hit me was actually right around this time, probably 4 or 5 years ago, at the SoftView Summit or Volley Summit, where in Kansas City, you'd done your presentation, and I was sitting in the back of the room, and I just looked around at all the people who I'd seen over the years that I knew were successful people, and I knew that success, in this industry, people make good money. And I was looking around the room saying, man, there is a lot of opportunity here in this room alone of how we could help and all of that. So from that point, it hit me that, I wanted to be involved, and started then, really grew it as we started SDP, and really have grown it kind of more since then, and with just some personal stuff that has really hit home with me. And we might have some chance to talk about a little bit later on, but we contribute every month. Our organization does. I do some consultations and stuff like that, where people, we don't need a contract, but I'll just ask they donate to the charity in return, stuff like that. We're doing that kind of stuff, and just trying to help out, lender partners, all of that stuff, but also helping out those in need.
We sure love you. We appreciate you, and we appreciate you too, Alex, for making this an opportunity today.
Well, and look, the work that you guys are doing is unquestionably so valuable, and often people think about charity and they wonder, how much of the money goes to the charity and how much of the money goes to the people running the organization. So MPPH, what percentage, I just signed up for this webinar, I spent $10. What percentage of that $10 is going to help?
Well, that's the good news. 100% of the money we take in, we give directly to the people we serve. We don't keep a dime of it. So through my company, my training company, Mortgage Champions, we fund all of the operational expenses for the organization and all of that, so that every dollar that people give, it goes right where it's supposed to go to children and to families who are in need.
I love it. I love it. And that's everyone that's listening. Again, thank you for joining. Thank you. Your contribution went 100% into this. And it's important that you know that in this case, 100% of your contribution went to help the families. And so you should feel proud of yourselves. And again, thank you, Dale, and Scott, and everyone that supports it. So quick question for everyone. This is a quick poll question. Is anyone on this call right now currently involved with MPPH, or has in some way been involved at all? This is just no wrong answers here, by the way. You just be honest. It's okay if you haven't. It's great if you have. We're just trying to gauge the engagement and how many people are aware of it, and understand the program. So let's
Alex,
give it another 10 seconds.
While people are putting this in, just to also note that the $10 that people have put in is actually $40, because each of our organizations are going to match that. So now that $10 went 4 times as far. So appreciate everyone for joining us as well.
Thank you, Scott, for making that point. It's a great point. Great point. Let's see how many people have had some experience. Let's see. Is it popping up somewhere? Oh, there it is. So it looks like most have not, which is fine, which is great. This is a chance for you guys to learn about this, and now you have. And so this is what we're doing this for. You're about to get some amazing information, but we want to make sure, we want to make sure that you are, if you were familiar or you have used it, and how we can get you more involved. And if you haven't, I love some of those answers that you want to get involved. So fantastic. All right, So look, remember, we're doing this for charity, and we want to give you something that you can take advantage of right now for you and your team, the value. And so here's some education, here's some information. Let me hand it off to Dale, talk about Mortgage Champions. And at the end, okay, something very important, I'm going to make a really important connection between Mortgage Champions and MPPH that is going to be really key for all of you to hold on to. So Dale, why don't you take it from here? And then we'll go forward with Scott after that.
Got it, Alex. Thank you. Well, Mortgage Champions has been around for 27 years. That's how long I've been speaking, and we've been in business as a training company to the mortgage industry. And I think the most important thing for the audience to know is that all the things that we teach through Mortgage Champions is based on best of the best practices of over 1 million loan officers and mortgage professionals I've trained over my career. So this is my 39th year in the business. I had 12 years in operations running national mortgage companies before I got into the business. So as we today share with you, we're going to share with you strategies and specific things that will help you convert better. That's really what we want you to do. And we're partners with both Sales Boomerang, Mortgage Coach, SDP Solutions. We work together for the betterment of this industry because this is the greatest industry in the world. Look, we're not in the mortgage business, teams. We're in the money business. And last time I looked, the beauty of the mortgage industry is we got an unlimited supply of money that we can give away to people, and everybody needs it, especially in today's marketplace with 40-year high inflation, with $6 gas prices, with all of the challenges out there. Our industry has never been more important. So I want to spend about 15 minutes talk about some strategies on converting your leads, converting your referrals, converting your business, how to use Sales Boomerang in a powerful way. But I want to start with a quote from James Cameron. I love this quote. He said this. He said, "Hope is not a strategy, luck is not a factor, and fear is not an option." Okay? I love that for this marketplace because, what I'm seeing, Alex and Scott and everybody out there, what I'm seeing today, I'm working with CEOs all over the country. We've trained over 600 companies in my career, and I've worked, as I mentioned, with millions of loan officers and managers. And what I'm seeing today is a lot of fear out of there, a lot of concern. A lot of people saying, man, I hope things get better. That's the wrong mindset. Look, the mortgage industry is incredibly opportunistic right now. And here's the reason why. If you think about today's mortgage market, what is more powerful? What is more needed at the consumer level than the mortgage industry? I don't think anything. Here's why. There's 3 things consumers want today. What are those 3 things they want? Security, stability, and savings. That's what consumers are looking for in a recessionary market where they're concerned about their finances. They want those 3 things. Now let's define those 3 things, okay? Security, that's home ownership, the American dream. That's what we provide in the mortgage arena. Stability, that's making sure they've got money in the bank. And you know what? We're sitting in an industry right now where there's more equity we've ever seen in all of U.S. history in the U.S. real estate market, and people aren't using that equity the way they should to build wealth like they could. And savings. Well, you know what? Everybody says refinance is dead. What are you talking about? Refinance is not dead. Refinance is just in a different realm today. Today's realm is not rate and term. Today's realm is cash out debt elimination. That's the marketplace for refinances today. And if you leverage debt for your consumers and you really look at ways to take that debt and convert the high payments on their consumer debt, put it into a mortgage at 5.5% or 6% even, believe it or not, you can save them a lot of money, create a lot of benefit, access cash out of their equity, change their life exponentially, and make a difference. And that's what the beauty of the mortgage market is today, that we are more relevant today than we've ever been in history. So let's talk about 4 points that I want to make about your lead sources. And look, I'm sure there's every kind of lead source out there, from retail to consumer direct, from using the Sales Boomerang alerts and everything in between. Let's talk about those for just a minute. First off, today you got to diversify your lead sources to match market demand. Now, what is market demand? Well, we know the market has shifted to predominantly purchase. So look, if you're still sitting in a business and you're running predominantly refi, you're missing the boat on the opportunity out there. Why? Because demand has never been greater in the purchase market than it is right now. You've got to shift your leads. So you've got a mix between purchase and refi. Now, let me say this to you. The number one concern I hear from leaders across the country is, well, I've got these refi teams, and you know what? They don't know purchase. It's not that much different, team. I hate to tell you that. Okay? It's still money. We're still providing the American dream. The only thing you need to make sure your people understand is that today's market is what I call an SBO purchase market. What does that mean? Serious buyers only. If you don't have a serious borrower, they're not going to get a contract. And your focus today needs to be on contracts. So if you have today, if you're generating lead sources and you're not mixing heavier to purchase and lighter on refi, then you're missing a market opportunity right now that you've got to capitalize on. You want to match market demand. Market demand right now on the refi side is not rate and term. That number from Black Knight projections is run down to less than 1 million people who qualify for savings on a rate and term refi. It was 12 million in December. That's how fast it changed.
I saw those statistics. Incredible.
It's unbelievable. But the number of people who need to lower their payments, get access to cash out of their equity, build wealth, and get out of debt, everybody. That's everybody. You've just named all of America right there.
Yeah.
So you have that in your leads. If you're focusing on debt elimination, if you're focusing on cash out, if you're focusing on equity usage, if you're focusing on all those things, you're doing the right thing on the refi side. And
cash flow, right? Cash flow is important.
Cash flow is important. That's the key to everything. If you add that to your purchase mix, now you're sitting in the right side. But here's the key. You can't just rely on an inbound effort today. You got to outbound. You got to take and you've got to utilize your sales boomerang alerts so that what you're doing is you're capitalizing on the customer base that you have, the database you have, and you are really mining that for opportunity. Look, there's so many opportunities out there today if you're willing to outbound call. So anybody that's out there, whether you're retail, consumer direct, it doesn't matter. If you're getting referrals or you're getting leads in, that's all great if you've got a good mix, but you also have to have an outbound effort going at all times. You've got to teach your salespeople. They got to pick up that phone. They got to dial out, not email, not text message, not IM. Pick up the phone and call a consumer. That is the key today.
Are you saying you can't just send out your application link and have someone go fill out an application?
No, let me tell you what I hate more than anything today. The link pushing mindset.
Yes.
It doesn't work. You know what the key to today's success in the market is? I'm going to give it to you in a simple phrase. High tech, high touch. That's it right there.
High touch.
High tech, sales boomerang, mortgage coach. There's your high tech. SDP solutions. There's your high tech. High touch, relationship. That's conversation. That's connection with your borrowers. Look, we've seen what some of these fintech companies have gone through in the recent months with massive. You know why? Their entire focus was self-service. Send them a link, and you know what? Let them do the work. That works great in a 2.5% market. That dog don't hunt in a 5.5% market. In a 5.5% market, you need advisors talking to your customers who are helping them understand why they would do a 5.5% loan today, why they should buy a home in this market right now, how to circumvent inventory issues, affordability issues, and all of the challenges in the purchase market. That takes a human being who's well trained. That's why the combination of the partners you see on this webinar are so vital to your business. And that's why you as a leader want to make sure that you are building a diversified lead source business that's both inbound meaning you're driving in leads, and outbound, generating out, and then you're monetizing the value of your customer database. How do you do that? Make sure you're having alerts on all of your customers for all of the different opportunities that are coming up. Make sure you're going after your turndowns and cancellations. When I was a manager, 25% of all my business came out of my turndown files. Because you know what? Circumstances change for people. We want to go back. There's a lot of people today that didn't qualify last year that will qualify this year. You want to maximize that and build a systematic and quick and effective pitch that converts. Now, what do I mean by that? Two things I want to close with, and I'm going to turn over to these other gentlemen. Number one, you better be fast today. Why? Because homes are selling in hours and minutes, not days and weeks. So when you get on the phone with a customer, you got to let them know, if you want to get a contract, I need to get your application in your docs right now. And you know what? We're going to get a pre-approval for you, not a pre-qualification, and set you up so the realtor sees you as a bona fide buyer that competes against these cash offers. Then you got to make sure you've got something good to say to your borrowers. You know what you need to say to them? Not, I got the best rates. Rates will not sell anything for you in this marketplace. Nobody likes today's rates. Let's be clear about that. What you've got to lead in with is, How am I going to change your life? How am I
Yes.
going to benefit you today? If I'm going to do a refinance, don't focus on the rate, focus on the result. If I can create an outcome that increases your income, would you like to hear about it?
Wow.
That's a great question.
That's a
And you know
great
what?
question.
You go, well, how can you do that? I'm going to show you how to do it by taking your debt, incorporating it in, showing you how to lower payments, showing how to get cash and do things that change your life. And on a purchase, talk to them about how you're going to get them in a home, not how you're going to get them an approval. Anybody can
Right.
get an approval. Get them in a home. If you use that kind of approach and you follow these simple things I talked about, you're going to be golden. Let me
I
turn it
love
over.
it. And there's something you said, Dale, I want to just go back to, especially on the turn downs for just a second. You said, what was that acronym you used about the buyer? BO or SO? What did you?
SBO market.
SBO.
It's a serious buyers only market.
Serious buyers own. Serious buyer own. Listen to this. The turn down people you have in your database, when they're qualified, they're the most serious.
Oh, you betcha.
They're salivating to do the thing that they couldn't do a year ago, 6 months ago, whatever it is. And so talk about serious, they are the most serious. I love everything you said. If there was nothing else you guys stayed for in this conversation, you've already got tremendous value. But guess what? There's more.
All I was going to say, is it okay that panelists also take notes? I wrote down like 3 pages of notes already.
Yeah,
Every time
I wish
Dale
I had
talks.
something to write with. Luckily, it's
Yeah.
recorded.
Yeah, every time Dale talks, I get something good out of it. So I appreciate that. And really, you know, I'm actually going to lead with a Dale Vermillion quote as I get into this about how, you know, he said this over and over again, many, many times I've heard him speak, is that, you know, the one thing that top producers and low producers have in common is 24 hours in a day. The difference is the top producers, how are they using that 24 hours versus the lower producers, right? And it all comes down to, in my mind, prioritization of someone's day, right? So, you know, prioritization is huge. We work with, you know, Velocify, we work with some other companies now that have taken this to heart, and we really understand the value of prioritization in a salesperson's day. You know, especially in like times like today, right? Like it's just, you know, really got to be focused on it. As Dale's mentioned, moving more to the outbound where, you know, salespeople have been used to the inbounds. It's just a matter of what it is. But now as we shift into outbound, prioritization becomes even more important in how you structure your day and who you're following up with and who you're spending time with. There was a white paper here done by Velocify years ago that talks about the power of prioritization. And what they're trying to say is that you need to stop the multitasking and start prioritizing your day. I used to interview people all the time and they'd say, I'm a great multitasker. Like that was a great thing, you know, and maybe we thought that it was, but at the end of the day, salespeople, it's not a good thing because you end up wasting so much valuable time thinking about what to do next, right? End of the day. There's actually a good book that I'd like to recommend called The Myth of Multitasking. Dave Crenshaw talks about, he calls it switch tasking and how much time is wasted in the shift or the switch between one thing and the next. And salespeople have this as well. You get off the phone, you have a great call with a borrower, you pitch a loan, you got someone who's interested, and then you have to say, okay, what do I do next? And you might spend 30 seconds, a minute, 3 minutes, 5 minutes. You have another call, you do it, great call, you get off the call. What do I do next? 2 minutes, 3. And if you add up all of that time to the end of the day, I guarantee salespeople listening to the call today are wasting 2 to 3 hours a day, literally just thinking about what to do next. Literally just thinking, and you're wasting that time.
Yes.
So how does that fit into what we do? Yeah.
We're gonna put that link to that book, Nicole. Let's find that and put that somewhere in the chat, and maybe we'll include it with the recording because I'd love for people to get access to that book.
For sure. And you know, to kind of lead into the results. So the white paper that Velocify did, we were able to look at, I was at Velocify at the time we released this, we were able to look at the difference and look at the data between the clients that we knew used the Velocify priority queues versus those who didn't. And we knew the percentage in which they were using those. And we looked at those companies' success rates for those who did and those who didn't. And what the white paper showed was a number of different stats. One was that if a company used prioritization more than 90% of the time, they had 3 times the conversion rate as those companies who did not use priority view at all. 3 times conversion rate. So you're at 5%, now you're 15, you use the prioritization and it makes sense. And here's some of the other stats. The one I always reference and try to, when I talk to salespeople is, you know, we always have talked about it being a numbers game, right? It's always a numbers game. How many calls can I make? How many contacts does that result in? How many apps do I take? How many closed loans on down the lines, all a numbers game. And what this stat shows here is that you can make 49% more contact attempts in your day if you're not thinking about what to do next. If you have a structured way that's telling you exactly who to call next when you end a phone call and you're ready to move on to the next thing, and this is the best opportunity right now, you'll make 49% more contact attempts. So we do the math with our clients, right? We're like, how many, it's crazy. Back in me and Dale's day, back in the day in the mortgage business, I remember I never left my desk at the end of the day if I didn't have 100 phone calls. It was like minimum 100 phone calls. And if I'd done what I was supposed to do throughout the day, that was easy. But if I got distracted, I had to get to 100 calls. It was just a mental thing. Nowadays, with the inbound and rates have been low, we've seen that kind of shift. And when I ask loan officers today, it's I make 20 calls a day, 30 calls a day. So I always like to just start with a 20 number or 20 call baseline here. And if you use a priority view and you're making 20 attempts and you make 49%, now you're making 30 attempts per day just by using the priority view. You're not adding any more time to your day, any more time to the 24 hours a day. You're just using it better.
Oh, I love that.
20 calls becomes 30 calls. Well, that's 200 to 220 more contact attempts per month. Do the numbers. What percentage do you contact them at? What percentage do you app? And the numbers can vary anywhere between at least 1 to 2, but most of the times it's 4 to 5 to 6 additional loans per month with the same amount of time in your day. You're just using a structured way to do it. Now, we use, Velocify. There's other systems that have this. So there's a system in place and you can write rules behind it. But what we're also now implementing are things like data. So obviously the data behind it. So what type of lead source is it? Or for sales Boomerang, what type of alert is it? Some alerts you need to call right away. Some you might be able to maybe wait a day or two. Maybe they're not as urgent. Maybe you let it come in right away and you look at let's say the score of the lead, or you look at the type of alert. Instead of having to pick up the phone and call in that exact instance, send them an email and say, hey, checking in. I'm going to be following up with you the next day or two. Just a heads up, whatever. But go ahead and use that alert to get something out versus thinking you then have to call everything and prioritize everything. Go ahead, Alex.
Yeah, let me just make this sort of like cement this into people's minds by giving an analogy that's not in mortgage. Because sometimes like, well, how do I prioritize? How do I know? Think about this. If hospitals didn't prioritize, think about the deaths that'd be there. I have a splinter. All right, get in. I'm bleeding from my neck. Sit and wait. Like, no, you have to know how to prioritize. And so this is just, and you need a system that can create a way for you to prioritize clearly and across the board. It's not, hey, my top 20%, you're going to use this to prioritize your day. It's 100%. 100% of your team needs to be in a systemized prioritization kind of process. And you need to understand, we'll use what Scott was just talking about, sales Boomerang alert. An alert, let's just say, I don't know, a life event. Somebody just got married. May not be as important as an EPO, an early payoff alert, right? An early payoff alert, that's the guy sitting on the side, bleeding from his neck. You got to get him into surgery right away. Somebody getting married, maybe something you plan for. You have a campaign, you reach out, you think maybe there's a mail piece. That is the difference. And so systematize that. Go ahead, Scott.
Yeah. And so, end of the day, it just comes down to, you only have so much time. And I think what we've learned too over time is that, as busy as we were over the past year, some people had gotten to the point of burnout or working too much or whatever. And what we found is that for the organizations we were able to come in and put this in place with and have success, they found themselves be able to do maybe, if not the same, but do it on less time.
Yes.
Now they're spending less time, but still getting the same results out of things when using this prioritization. So, although productivity can definitely increase with this, you could also look at it as, well, I don't have to work 12 hours a day. Now I can work 10 or 9 or 8 like a normal person and not feel the pressure of all of that.
It creates efficiencies. It creates efficiencies, and that's key. So let's jump into another poll, just to get you guys involved. Look, we do polls and things like this, and we ask you guys to jump into chat because it's very easy to get distracted and do an email, text message, take a phone call. We want you guys to be here in this conversation and get the value out of this. So do you feel like you have the tools you need to help your borrowers prepare for and fulfill their goals of home ownership? First of all, this question is beautiful because it's actually saying you've asked your client, your borrower, what their goals are. So this question actually gives you a hint towards best practices. Ask your clients about what their goals are. As a matter of fact, if you get a phone call today from somebody who says, I want a mortgage, your first question shouldn't be, can you fill out this app? It's, what are your goals? Why are you doing this now? What's in it for you? What are you trying to accomplish? Why are you calling me today? Right? Then you get into the app thing. Anything other than that, then you're just a machine taking notes, and you're, as Dale says, you're just link spamming. Here's a link, fill it out. Hopefully you're qualified, and then I can talk to you. No, not the way you want to do it. So let's get to these questions. Do you feel like you have the tools you need to fulfill their goals? So let's give you guys 30 seconds. And by the way, chime into the conversation. I haven't seen a lot of activity in chat. Jump into this, give some thoughts. As you're answering this question, prioritization, are you seeing that? Is your team already thinking about it? Have you guys tried anything? Add some color, add some commentary to this. Help drive the conversation, because if you have an idea, it may help somebody else that's listening as well. So let's see.
You're still waiting on this. Can I just add also, around data, the systems we work with give us the ability to now score opportunities based on different attributes of that. And one of the things that we're starting to use a lot now is engagement by the borrower. So as you're sending them an email or SMS, and have they read it? Have they opened it? Have they engaged in some way, that we can then give that lead an engagement score? So think about your sales boomerang trigger. Former customer has been getting your nurture emails that you've been sending out over the last, 2 years, a year to 2 years, and they're engaged in all of that. Now, maybe that lower alert comes in, not, lower as far as speed goes, but it's a high score. It's someone who's engaged and you got that alert. Now that shifts the priority for you automatically. We really can get detailed with clients. And in fact, we're even doing it now where we're doing like loan statuses. So it's not even just lead status anymore. Now it's follow up with your pre-quals, follow up with your applications, and do things with the LOS integrations of the world and all of that as well. So just throw that in.
I love that. It's all available to us, right, Scott? That's the thing. And to, there's a phrase out there: if you don't take advantage of your advantages, they become curses, right? Like, because then you look back and go, I could have been doing that this whole time. Oh my goodness. Don't let it become a curse. Take advantage of this. Nicole, let's see what the results were of this, of the poll here. All right, so good. About 50-50 here. Yes, absolutely. And some of you want to improve. So if you want to improve, you're on, and this is very important, right? We put on these educational events. And so you're on the line with people that can help you get there, right? So if you want to improve, this is the people you want to be reaching out to. Sales Boomerang, Mortgage Coach, SDP, Dale. Get with the people here. That's why you joined here. This is one of the values that you're getting out of this. Don't just take the information and do nothing with it. Knowledge is power, but not taking action on that knowledge, you go back to the same place you were before that knowledge came in, right? So take advantage of this. And this is exactly what we were talking about a second ago: prioritization and scoring and understanding what's most important. This is a Sales Boomerang customer, okay? A month in the life. Why did we create this slide in the first place? So for many years, we'd have a lot of organizations, before they joined, before they signed on, would say, hey, how long does this take to work? How many, is this going to be a 60, 90, 120 day thing before we can realize the value of this? And it just floored me every time I got this question, because I would always answer, day one. What do you mean? How quick? And nobody would believe it. It's like, no. Really, how long does it until you ramp up? It's day one. And so this is important to understand. We're talking about prioritization. We're talking about the market that we're in and how to make sure that your team isn't getting burnt out. There's efficiencies with technology, but prioritizing conversations. When you're asking your team to make 100 phone calls, what should be the first phone call? Well, if you're using a borrower intelligence system like Sales Boomerang, then you will know. There's no guesswork, right? This is the part of the frustration where people rip their hair out going, I don't know who to call. I don't know what to say when I call them. This changes everything. So here's a month in the life. This is an organization that had nearly 34,000 records, an amazing loan amount, by the way, right? With the 450,000 average loan amount. Day one, okay, this is the first day they turn it on, 85 opportunities. Think about that for a minute. Inside your customer base, this is a pretty small lender. They did just over $1 billion in originations in 21, okay? So this is not a huge company. This is a smaller group. In the first month, we discovered in their own database nearly $900 million in opportunities. And this is a company that does $1 billion a year. So if you're looking at your customer base today and you're looking at your numbers, you're looking at your goals, you're looking at your unit goals, your volume goals, and you're like, oh, this is a tough year. Well, if you're not looking within, right, within your customer base, then you're going to have to work harder to get to where you want to go. But if you start to look within, you may find everyone you need is in your database already. Now, you want to absolutely be looking outwards and inviting new people in, as we talked about recently, that this is a year for planting seeds. Last year and the year before that was all harvesting. You guys harvested as much as possible. This is a time to plant seeds in your farm, right? So invite people in, have brilliant conversations with them. Don't send them a link and hopefully they click on it. Talk to them, advise them, let them know that you are their financial friend, right? Not just somebody that sends you a link, fill this out, and I'm going to make some money from you today. That's not what we're about. So here you have an example of an organization that in 30 days had nearly 2,000 opportunities from their own database. And they were all prioritized. Remember we talked about this? Look at, you see this section with the EPO, okay? Guess what? The 22 EPO notifications they got, top priority. Like that's where you want to start. Mortgage inquiries, top priority. Mortgage inquiries, defense. You want to make sure that when your customers are shopping, and by the way, it's not just past customers in your database, it's leads, it's your active pipeline, it's the people you've turned down, as we talked about with Dale, right? It's not just the people you've done loans for. Your database consists of all of those different silos, prospects, pipeline, all of that, right? And so you need offense and defense, and you need to know how to prioritize those things. That's what Scott's here to talk to you guys about. Not all notifications are created equal. Not all conversations are created equal. You need to know who to talk to first, and a system like Sales Boomerang will help you. And we know we don't have Dave from Mortgage Coach on here. As you know, we've combined our forces. But when you have these opportunities delivered to you, you want to educate. An educated buyer makes decisions faster. Period. I don't know how else to say it. An educated buyer, a confident buyer, borrower makes decisions faster. And so not only do you have this prioritization now, but you also have the education piece so that your consumer feels confident in making a decision and is getting the advice from you. Okay. So all of that's important. Scott, I see you're leaning in. You want to say something?
Oh no, I'm good. I'm just trying
perfect.
to see what's on the back of your TV there. Looks like it's
yeah, it keeps glitching out, not glitching out, but it keeps timing out. I got to figure out, this is the vibe. I got to figure out how to keep it on longer. it keeps going back. But that was a design on this thing. My son was just playing with it, and he did that by accident. I was like, what? How did you do that? If I turned the camera around, you guys would see all of his art. All right, so this slide was to explain to everyone that you have a way of prioritizing and offering extreme value, because you're not guessing what to talk to your borrowers about. You know exactly what to talk to them about and when to contact them and what to talk, where the value is in those conversations. So sticking with the value for everyone here, why should companies, right? We're going back to the charity part of this. We just finished, let me just go here for just a second. This slide was really wrapping up what Dale was talking about, the education, prioritization. How do you get there? This system, borrower intelligence system like Sales Boomerang, helps you take the knowledge that you learned from Dale, take the information of automating and prioritizing, and then wrapping it all together with a borrower intelligence system. Okay, let's go back. There's a couple more slides. There's something very special we're about to talk about here at the end. Let's go back to the reason why you guys all joined this, which is about giving back to our community. So why should companies give back to the community? Right? We have a few options on screen here, right? It feels good to give, to help others. Giving back can help your business. Helping others also helps you, all of the above, right? I have a feeling I know what the results of this poll will be. So if you're looking at the screen, or if you've been distracted, jump back on the screen for just a minute. Give us an answer here. Let's tie this all back right where we started from. Let's come back to the beginning here of why we are doing this and what you've all contributed to already. Let's see your answers here. Why should companies give back to their communities? Thank you, guys. That was the goal. That was the goal, is to see if everyone is in alignment with this. And so very grateful to see that's how you guys feel. And that is exactly right. So let's talk about this for just a minute. How can companies and individuals give back to their communities, both through MPPH and otherwise? Dale, Scott, what are your thoughts here?
I'll jump in here real quick too, because it kind of ties into why I was most interested in this conversation and being part of this endeavor. Is that I talked about this on actually with Richard at Sales Boomerang and his podcast, also with Dale and his podcast, about a personal story of mine that I've been talking about recently. Is that my father, when I was 9 years old, committed suicide and made the unfortunate decision to do so, and left me and my two younger brothers and my mom and there along the way. And where this really hits home with me is a couple of things. One is that, I'll come back to Dale's charity part of it, but what I recently found out, and by the way, this happened 30 some years ago, but in October, I went back to Illinois where all of his stuff had been moved after his passing. And all of his stuff was in storage for years and years, and they were finally cleaning it out. So I drove up to Illinois to go get stuff for my dad, and came across some essentially letters that he had written to what appeared to be an underwriter to buy a house. It was a letter of explanation about why he, needed help to get approved for a home, why he wanted a home. He had just gone through a divorce with my mom. And wanted to be a homeowner so that he could have a kid for, a yard for us to play in, and all of the stuff. It was all in that letter. And at that point, it never really, I think it really hit home for me as to what we do and why does STP exist and why do a lot of us exist. It's really about homeownership and the dream of homeownership. And here my dad was struggling to get qualified for a home. I'm not saying that's the reason why he did it, but I know that it definitely played a part into the fact that he couldn't get approved for a home. So where does that all play in? Well, we help mortgage people with prioritization, a number of things to increase their conversion rates to help as many borrowers become homeowners as possible. You have Alex on the call and Sales Boomerang, what they're doing from an alert standpoint, the life events when it comes to the divorce and all of the other things that are important that you should be helping and guiding your borrowers with. That's where he comes into play. And then where Dale comes into play for me really is around giving back and helping, because there are other people like this. He talks about the single mom, and really where it hit home for me, where I just went all in on trying to help out as much as I could, was the story of Dale's wife going to a Walmart late at night and looking specifically for single moms who are living in their cars and helping them get out of that situation, to get into an apartment, to then move and, try to move on with their life to make it better. And so, I think that's really where this all ties in for me a little bit personally. And I really want to convey that out to salespeople, is that everything you do matters. Everything you don't do matters. And if you're not prioritizing your borrowers, you have no idea what situation they may or may not be under. And if you're not making the most of your day and making as many calls as you can and all of the stuff, who knows what situation people are in. And I want to help as much as I can with that.
Oh, that's beautiful. Awesome. I love it. Dale, anything to add, or should we move on to the next one?
No, I think Scott said it very, very well. We are very blessed to be in the mortgage arena, and we do very well financially in this industry. And there's a lot of people that could use our help, and that's really what it all comes down to at the end of the day, is having that others first mindset that we talk about all the time, where we put others before ourselves and take care of people through what we've been blessed with. That's really what it comes down to.
I love it. And this. Specifically what you're doing, you can help in many different ways, but specifically what you're doing, I think is so important. That story, I know I've heard it before. You started to share it and I started to get tears in my eyes with Dale, your wife, looking for people in Walmart parking lots that are living in their cars. Everyone that's listening to me, this is a thing. This isn't an accident. It's a thing. People specifically in Walmart parking lots. Isn't that right, Dale?
That's exactly right. And look, you hear a lot of people will say things like, man, you just ought to get a job. It's not that easy. Trust me, these were regular families. These were people who went through difficult times. And if they could have it different, trust me, they would. They need a hand up is what they need. And we're that hand and that leg up to help them just get where they need to go and let them run their lives after that. And we've seen so many families' lives transformed over the years we've done this, because they just needed that little bit of help to get them going.
Why this, Dale? Okay, I'm going to stop sharing for a second so everyone can see you and me here a little better. Why help with housing and education? Why not, drug control some other form. Why did you choose this as the thing to focus on in your life?
Well, systemically, those are the two things that create the most stability in communities and in families. Is when you create security through housing and when you educate children and families on how to be able to succeed in their lives. Those are the two basic elements that systemically solve most of our societal problems today. It gives people a chance at life. And even with all the other things, and all the other things are important, helping people with drug addictions, helping people with challenges, all of these things are very, very important. But even within that, if you're out in the world and you don't have a roof over your head and you don't have stability, those things get exasperated dramatically. If you have security, those things get solved much easier. So that's the reason why we chose those two things.
Yeah.
They're the two
The
things
root.
I think are the biggest drivers.
It's the root. It's the root. You've discovered the root that if you have, and I believe this is part of the hierarchy, right? Like a roof security is part of what we're looking for, and you have found that in homes. And so, look, all of you, everyone listening, you are the keys to this, right? You are the keys to getting people in their homes to the root of possibly solving all the major problems that people experience. Getting them in their homes, paying attention, again, prioritizing. It's such a amazing thing that you discovered the root of what could solve so many other problems. And it's not just the home, it's the education. That part is so key because you're teaching people to then teach others and grow and never make the same mistake again. And so I think I didn't know you were going to say that the way you just said it, that it's the root, but it makes so much sense that that's why you chose that. And
Great story, Alex. Just literally 10 seconds.
Sure.
I was working with a client years ago, and this guy was a 38-year veteran. And I looked him dead in the eye. I said, "What keeps you motivated after this many years?" He said, "Let me show you." He walked me in a room, and he had a picture of every family he'd ever housed in that room. There was 700 pictures hanging in that room of people he'd housed. He's like, "That's what keeps me going right there."
Wow. That's I love it. I can see you have found in your life that your calling, and who knew, right, that when you got into mortgages, that was actually going to be the power, the fuel to get you to a place where you're helping so many people. That continues to help, like the ripple effect of that. And you've helped over 1 million loan originators get better at doing the task of getting people into homes. So not only you've done it on your own, not only do you have a charity, but now you have millions of soldiers out there getting people into homes and accomplishing this task. I love it when I hear stories like this. It's just such a beautiful thing. This is a great question, by the way. We were talking before we went live with this, that if this was the first question we started with, we may not get to any other slides. That's why you see it at the end. Do innovations in technology boost societal welfare or just increase inequality? I love this question. And hey, audience, get involved here. I want to hear some things in chat. I know you have an opinion. Does it help or does it create more distance? Scott, let's go to you first on this one.
Actually, I'm interested to hear what Dale says.
Oh yeah. All right, Dale, look at that. He just passed the buck to you. Let me throw this on screen one more time so everybody hears the question. Do innovations in technology boost societal welfare or just increase inequality? What do you think, Dale?
I think it definitely boosts the welfare because look, the more that we know about the people we're helping, the better solutions we can provide. Think about last year. Last year was a volume year, okay? It was what I call a do you want it or not market, where rates are 2.5, everybody wanted what we have to have. Today, you need to understand the needs of your borrowers, and only innovation and technology can help you do that so that you can pinpoint with accuracy and say, you know what, you are a prime candidate based on everything we know about you to be in a position to change your life immeasurably. That's going to help societal welfare in a great way. So innovation is critical. What these companies do, like Sales Boomerang, are so pivotal to our industry and our business. And the more that we know, the better we can solve. As I've said my whole career, you can't solve what you don't understand.
Yes.
So you got to figure that out.
And to add on to that, one thing we've been doing a lot over the past year and a half and really helping not only loan officers, when it comes back to, their turn downs or people who weren't interested at the time, we find so many companies that would use kind of some, call it like initial best practices from Velocify, which was put leads in nurture or dead or inactive. It was just a big bucket of stuff. And it really made it difficult for marketers to go out and try to figure out, how do we market to this person? How do we help this person? What we've now done is created a system so that a loan officer can very easily choose a situation to put them down a path. So is it a credit situation? Okay, that's going to create the credit journey. If it's a unemployment issue, let's put them down the unemployment journey. And so having those detailed responses in our CRM or in the lead management system allows us to put those people into those paths, which then helps them down the road for their specific situation, not something so generic as a nurture campaign versus here's the top 10 ways to improve your credit score. Did you know this, and create these journeys that can help them along the way, and they'll find value in it and come back to you all the time.
Love that. And let me just add to this before we get to the end of this conversation. Somebody in chat was saying, hey, it depends on the access to that technology. Very good point. However, the reason technology will always boost societal welfare is because when you put technology in people's hands like yours, and we're identifying people in your database, we're identifying people in the world that could use your services, even those people that don't have access to technology, as long as they have you and you have access to it, you can help. That's the important thing. The people that do have access have, I don't want to call it the responsibility, but we can, something along the, have the responsibility to help those that don't have access. But without the technology and without the ability, what does technology do? It actually just gives you more time to be human. Let's just be clear. Let's just be clear. It doesn't replace you. It actually enhances your ability to be more human and do more human things, because the computing is done by the technology. And so take the advantage of that. Take the prioritization, take the efficiencies that come from that. And if you are looking to help the community, you're looking to help societal welfare, then you invest in the technology for all those people that can't. And you reach out and you do you move the needle for them. All right. So I love that. I love that statement. Thank you for chiming in. But it absolutely does. I agree with everyone on the call and what you guys have said. And so how can you help? Okay. How can you help? I want to say this real quick because and I prefaced this earlier, and I'm going to say it again. And you see this? Touch it again. So you just got to touch the screen and it comes back. I just got to touch it. If I had longer hands, I could just arms. Not hands, arms. So how can you help? Well, one way you can help is by educating yourself. And you're like, Alex, what is that? What do you mean educating myself? Contact Dale and his team. Get the best education available in the industry, because you just heard Dale say that 100% of what MPPH does goes to for the fundraising. 100% of it. And the way that Dale and the team funds MPPH is through Mortgage Champions. So literally, by learning, you're giving back. Literally, by getting the world's best education and information into what you should be doing in this market and in all markets, from originators to leaders, you're helping the community. Literally just by getting in touch with Dale. Same thing with SDP. Okay? So, you want to know how you can help? Educate yourself. Surround yourself with the people that want to constantly give back to their communities. The entire panel here is doing that. We're putting on these webinars specifically for charity. Start driving, and I want everyone on this to start encouraging their friends to join these types of webinars, to join these types of events, so they can learn and give back at the same time. Why can't you do both? You can. You just experienced it. Give back to the community by just educating yourself. That just happened to you right now in this moment. I promise you took away a few nuggets and you gave back to the community. You gave $10 that turned into $40. Okay? How can you help? That's exactly how you can help. Get in touch with one of us, and you're going to help your team, yourself, and a community. Every single time you work with one of these organizations, you're helping yourself and you're helping the community. Anything else, Dale or Scott?
No, I just want to make one final point, because this came up so many times in this conversation today. Scott mentioned the word structure many times. Alex, you mentioned the whole idea of structure many times.
Yes.
You know, I use the word routine. You know what routine stands for?
Mm-mm.
Regular overachievers understand time is never expendable. That's ROUTINE. Okay.
Wow. Say that again. Say that again. And Nicole, let's put it into chat.
Regular overachievers understand time is never expendable. Look, we're in a business where today you need your A game and your A team, and you need them to be prioritized, structured, and to be very proactive in what they do. And when you have innovation and technology that creates time gaps for you, use that for the good of building a relationship with your customers and your partners, and calling out to your past clients to really talk about how you can help them. And you will maximize your opportunities in this marketplace and literally crush this market. You'll make more money this year than you did last year. The problem in today's market is not marketing, it's sales. We've got to have a great sales team that has great structure and focuses on helping their customers in a big way. So I just wanted to, you guys said it so many times, and I'm sitting over saying that to me is the single most important element of success in today's marketplace, is have people who are structured and know what they're doing and not just running wild.
Love it. There it is. There it is. What a great way to close this out. Scott, anything else? Any final words?
I was going to say, I'm ready to get off so I can go hit the phones and start calling some people. I'm ready.
Is that part of your routine though?
Absolutely. You know, structured day, of course. Yeah. I mean, I have a 1-2-3 system. The way I don't have a Velocify for my day, but I have a 1-2-3 system. My ones get done first, twos are after that, threes are when I can get to them, type of deal. So yeah, but I'm getting on the phones after this. I'll tell you that.
I promise you this, everyone that's listening to this call right now, or seeing the recording, I promise you this. You look at someone that you're like, wow, that person is a rock star. Man, they're such high performers, from sports to medicine to business. They have a routine. I promise you, you're looking up to someone because they've accomplished something amazing. They have a routine. They have a process. They don't falter that process. I promise you. So I love that we left it off with that, Dale. Scott, thank you so much. Dale, thank you so much. The audience, thank you so much. It means the world to us that you've taken this time to join us and give back at the same time. Spread the word. This is how we do this now. We no longer just need education, and hopefully we give back at some point. Now you can learn and give back at the same time. And make sure you reach out to Dale and Scott, Contact Sales, Boomerang, and Mortgage Coach. Let us help you give back, and let us just help you crush this market and the markets to come. So enjoy the rest of your weeks and days, and thank you again, everyone, for joining.
Thanks, Alex. Thanks, Scott. God bless you all.